long road. I'm not saying I'm great now, but I'm saying I could be one day if I keep sticking to this grind. You know what I'm talking about? It's easier to think you're famous. It's harder to work for greatness. These kids nowadays give prevalence to the latest. So if the party started 8ish, I'm coming like next to...
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the J-Team Brand Podcast. Josh Pizzaro here with Douglas Elliman.
Janet Timadiah with Douglas Elliman Real Estate. How are you guys doing?
Good. And today we got our special guest here, Marty. Marty, I'm going to let you introduce yourself to the audience and let them know what you do.
Marty Medina, also known as Martin Medina from Lower East Side, born and raised. I'm executive director of Why Not Care, Growth and Goals, senior designer over at IBM Watson Advertising, and I'm a entrepreneur and a community guy, man, and that's nice. What I do all day. Full-time entrepreneur at that. Full-time.
So let's get into a little bit about what you do. So you are an executive director for Why Not Care. I do want to get into a little bit of your community work with that, because that's definitely something that I hold dear to me. Obviously, my parents being from Puerto Rico, Why Not Care, has some direct ties with, obviously bringing some relief back to Puerto Rico and the island. My dad is currently there. So give us a little bit about that, man.
So what we do is here at Why Not Care, we network with a lot of people, a lot of organizations, a lot of schools, businesses. For the main thing with the Puerto Rico effort, with the Puerto Rico initiative, we teamed up with NIDIS, New York Disaster Interfaith Services. Okay. And they deal directly with the evacuee families that are coming in from Puerto Rico. So we teamed up with them last year and helping them get book bags and resources. Next thing you know, we were sending people out to Puerto Rico, doing fundraisers. New Balance has donated over like 500 pairs of sneakers that I sent out to Puerto Rico.
Oh, man, shout out to New Balance for that.
Yes, definitely. Shout out to New Balance, to Vieques, to Maya West, San Juan, like all over the island. We don't just go like to the outskirts of the island. We send people like into the mountains. We work with, like I said, NIDIS. Yes, Tent Ministries, another organization we work with. And we even, like if I can't get people out there myself, I speak with the other organizations. I'm like, hey, I have like 7 cases of New Balances. Can you get them out there? And like, dude, we're leaving tomorrow.
Definitely, man. And what was your experience? Like, were you personally out there with the giving back, or did you have anybody close to you that was out there? What was their experience out there?
My aunt is out there, so she's out there in Maya West. So we sent Lila and Power, who are part of Team Why Not Care. Okay. And they went out there and personally delivered like care packages to her town, like to her. And Power keeps going back. He's going back and forth. He also works with Overthrow Gym. So they did a whole run out there not that long ago. For they did a simultaneous run, or run simultaneously, podcast at the same time.
Oh, nice!
Where they did it,
I gotta follow
the run
Power,
out there.
man.
Yeah, they did the run in Puerto Rico and a run out here in the city, and they podcast and they live streamed at the same time.
That's nice.
And he was able to get New Balance sneakers out to those people as well who were running from the community. So that was really awesome. And NIDIS was out there too, surveying, helping out, and everything. Luna from New York Undercover.
Oh, okay, nice.
She works really closely with NIDIS, and she's out there helping out, and it's just awesome. We're also part of the New York Puerto Rico Long-Term Recovery Group that NIDIS hosts as well. So it's a bunch of different organizations that come together. We have VIP, Tent Ministries, like it's on and on. We have this carpentry unions who are going out there to Puerto Rico as well, and it's all about working together for the common cause, as opposed to everybody working individually.
Right.
So that's why Not Care is so effective in its efforts as well. Yeah. Because we don't just try to work individually. Everything we do, we share. Like I said, we get the New Balance sneakers. We call all the organizations who are making moves to Puerto Rico and like, hey, can we get that out there with you?
Exactly.
Also, it cuts down on costs as well. You know what I'm saying? Like now we don't have to pay for shipping costs because they're going to put in their luggage.
Right.
Unbox them, package them up, send them to Puerto Rico.
And it's a value add partnership at the end of the day, you know?
So when was Why Not Care created?
I started Why Not Care back in 2014 with just giving out care packages.
Okay.
Like I would just pack up like toothbrushes, toothpaste, hygiene products, stuff like that. And then I saw a lot of people were doing that, which is a beautiful thing. And I'm like,
so this was created under Puerto Rico's hurricane relief.
No, it was started way before that. Yeah.
Puerto Rico, that didn't even happen.
Yeah.
Until 2016 or 15?
I started in 2014.
No, I know, but this happened in 2017.
Last year.
Happened last year.
Right.
So I started back in 2014, just doing it myself, just giving out care packages around the community.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay,
Was it
around the
was it
community.
were
Okay,
there
gotcha.
was there like a specific target
Yes,
of
the
people?
homeless.
Homeless. Okay.
I was targeting homeless
awesome.
and disenfranchised communities, low-income families, and I would just give out these bags. And then I was like, again, we were talking earlier about how I'm not one to give out a fish. I'd rather teach you how to fish.
Exactly.
So with giving out these care packages, I started creating these resource flyers.
Okay.
Where it would give people resources like, hey, this is where you could go get job training. This is a suicide prevention hotline, domestic violence hotline, youth, the
So
door.
it wasn't just toothpaste. It's actually something that's like giving back.
Exactly. So they could just open up that flyer and be like, wait a minute, hold up. Like, maybe I could call this number later on,
Okay.
you know?
Yeah.
And I started with that, and I did it for 2 years just doing it. And then when it got to around end of 2015, starting into 2016, somebody was like, hey, you know, I could give you money from my job if you was a 501c3. So I was like, cool. Formed a 501c3 and became a nonprofit charitable organization. So I did that, and then it was like, hey, would you be interested? We could give you more money to do a back to school event. So prior to that, I did a back to school event with Ted Smooth on 4th Street here in the Lower East Side in 2016 we did it. And I brought 90 book bags that Telemundo donated. So I was like, all right, cool. And I saw the structure of the event. Space, food, people, music. I was like, okay.
You can put
That's
your
the
own
formula
resource.
right
You
there.
can put your
Yeah.
own resources.
Yeah, I was
together
like,
for that.
I could do this. So the next year, I had this idea to do a back to school event. But then again, it went back to, I don't want to give people a piece of fish. I
Yeah.
want to teach them how to fish.
Definitely.
So I scratched back to school event, and I created a family resource event called the Lower East Side United Festival, where we have over 50 different organizations from the community. And in order to get a book bag or anything of that nature, you have to visit 8 to 10 different organizations and get a stamp. So that ensures that the people learn about the community, and the organizations that are here helping the community get their numbers, and they get their numbers, they get that funding. They get the funding, they continue their free programming for the community. So it's a win-win on both sides of the field. But it got so big that it's just really going now. Like it's generating a lot of buzz throughout the whole city. Through, you know, politicians are trying to get involved. This year, Def Jam Records came. We had about, leading up to the festival, I brought in about 2 weeks prior to the festival, I had 100 book bags. A week leading up to the festival, I was able to get in some private donations, able to get 1,200 book bags. Def Jam calls me, they're like, hey Marty, we spoke with Dro, and we understand you need some help. I was like, yes, I do. We understand your goal is 2,000 book bags. I was like, yes, it is. How many book bags do you have now? I was like, 1,200. We're sending 800 book bags to you, along with 1,000 notebooks, 1,000 folders.
Wow.
And I was like, whoa. You know, and Nidus also donated 40 boxes of clothing from the Gap, brand new.
Wow.
Jeez.
And also 1,000 care packages, I got you utensils and stuff like that.
Okay.
Back to school things, pencils, notebooks to put inside the bags, because we also invited the evacuee families who are here from Puerto Rico to come to the event.
So I was going to mention on that, because Josh and I had the pleasure of being invited
part of
to
that.
participate in the
Absolutely.
Lower East Side, United Festival. And let me tell you, first walking in, the setup, we were like, okay, yeah, this is going to be cool. So I come back, because I had left, and then I came back, and it was literally a zoo. Like, it was insane.
Yeah, trying to get in.
I mean, we were unprepared. We were so unprepared. I think maybe we had like 20 notepads,
It was
a
nothing
couple
left.
of gifts, and a couple of pencils. Like,
Yeah,
had
it
I
was nothing
known
left.
how big it was, like, I would have definitely reached out to, like, marketing and Douglas Elliman, and really really had them, kind of come in strong. So it was very impressive to see. And we did have a chance to meet some of the families that were evacuees, and it's just crazy, because to think that it's been almost a year
and
or
a
maybe
half now?
year and a half now
Yeah.
since Puerto
on
Rico
2.
happened, and people are still struggling.
Still struggling.
They're
Man.
struggling, and it's very, but they're struggling, but they're smiling through it, which is kind of
Absolutely.
crazy. Like, these kids that I see with their parents, like, you would never know. You would never
Absolutely.
know
Strong
unless they
people.
tell you. So
I mean, I speak to my dad regularly. You know what I mean? Like, my dad is literally on the island. So, like, even hearing from him and hearing stories that's going on the island, like, with the closures of public schools and, 256 public schools being closed during a time where, Jesus Christ, they don't have anything in regards to, like, power and resources and stuff like that. And, that was insane to me.
But I will
know,
say, yeah, no, sorry. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
no, and then just that being so close to the island with my dad, and my dad just retired, and his way of trying to bring a little values back to the island is he opened up a tutoring school down there, which was amazing to me. And it's something that I'm trying to get more hands-on, help him through, market that a little, bring some resources over there regarding that, because, for him, retired, and I'm speaking to him, I'm like, hey, how's that going for you? And he's like, he loves teaching, and he loves working under, just under his own circumstances. This is him. This is his tutoring school, so... And it's just awesome, but it is crazy that to think 2 years later, all this is still going on. So shout out to Why Not Care for that.
Yeah,
and still,
seriously.
being so hands-on.
Shout out to the larger organizations like Nidus and 10 Ministries, and who are really doing it big. We're just a supporter. Like we any way we could support, that's how we do. So
it's nice to see everybody lending a helping hand. So that was what was impressive.
Yeah. So we were talking a little bit about in the background your entrepreneurial background. So let's get into a little bit of that, because you say you've been in the game since 19, kind of on your own.
Since 19.
So talk on that, because now you work with IBM as their creative director. How does that work?
One of the senior designers.
Senior designers.
What is IBM?
IBM.
IBM.
Watson Advertising.
IBM. Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
So I work for IBM Watson Advertising for the Weather Channel.
Okay.
So IBM owns the data and digital platforms of the Weather Channel.
Okay.
So all the data that you acquire, like in your iPhone apps and stuff like that, Google, all comes through Weather Channel or Weather Company.
Anything that has to do with the weather?
Yes.
Okay.
So that information IBM runs with Watson Advertising. We do custom advertising for the app, all the digital platforms. So the app, the tablet, the website, the mobile website, anything that's digital, we control. So we get like great clients. We have like Disney, Pixar, like right now we're working on Incredibles 2 Disney release, Incredibles 2 DVD release.
Yeah,
I'm obsessed
awesome,
with
man.
that movie.
Yes, it's amazing. Like Ricola, Honda, the Nutcracker coming out, Target, Home Depot, BMW. So we deal with like all these major brands and helping them bring their branding to life in a weather situation, because we also offer like different things called weather effects, where we can actually track weather data and apply it to your brand. So we could help you figure out why people buying strawberries in March, or why people going.
That makes sense. Or who's buying tires.
Why would anybody want to know that? You could think, right?
Well, believe it or not, if you're a strawberry company, it's true what you're saying. It's like,
I get, for the business.
For the business, like if you're Michelin and you know that, this particular area obviously gets X amount of weather 6 months out of the year, your tires are good for, whatever amount of sales there. So it does break down into like, crazy numbers.
Data.
It really is power in data. You're just thinking about it.
Weather Channel is the #1 weather data company in the world.
Yeah, but y'all be missing it sometimes.
Yeah, you are. Yeah, they are the only ones that can be
lately
wrong.
You've been a little bit.
They still have a job.
Been a little bit off. Okay.
It's weather. It's tough. It's one of those calls.
It's like you call Mother Nature and ask her what tomorrow's gonna be.
I mean, what's up, Mother Nature?
But yeah, like you said, I started when I was 19. I'm 38 now. So I started my own freelance business as a sole proprietor when I was 19.
Wow.
And I've been doing it since. So
That's
I've always
awesome,
had,
man.
I was also, so the reason why I was telling you my experience in the business world and working in the community is kind of
hand in hand.
Yeah, it's hand in hand. It's also kind of the Neo. I'm the glitch in the matrix, because I've worked for NYCHA. I was a designer there for community operations, special events for 6 years. So I don't know if you remember NYCHA basketball tournament used to have the old.
Definitely.
I changed all of that. Yeah. I was the one who rebranded the whole community operations. So anything that went out to community came through me.
Okay.
6 years, and they still kind of use a lot of the things that I put in place.
Nice.
I left there over 7 years ago. Wow. So I left there, and then I went on to a smaller agency called Absolute Media. We were doing games for DirecTV. Okay. Then I went on to another company called Amplify. We were doing digital platforms for schools. That was owned by News Corp. And then from there, I moved on to IBM.
So when you say you're a sole proprietor, but you obviously move on to IBM and all that, they use you to create the graphics.
Yeah. So there's a flip side to that. My side sole proprietor business is separate from these, because these are day jobs.
Okay.
Regular 9 to 5, benefits, salaries, and all that.
Definitely.
So they use me to design all the graphics.
So they're using your company, basically.
No, they use me as an employee.
Oh, is it?
Because I'm also an employee. So
Got it.
I'm an employee, side hustles.
Right. Wow.
Got
Okay.
you.
I'm a full-time employee, full-time staff. Then I run Why Not Care. I run the growth and goals business classes, entrepreneur classes, and I also run a freelance business. And I do murals. I just did a mural in Berlane's. I'm going back Saturday to wrap that up. I have art pieces that are going up in the Clemente. I'm going to be in an art show there because I also paint. But
so you're overall creative. Nice.
Yeah, I'm like a full-time, like I started out painting. And like I said, in 1999, when I first got into design, I was working for a clothing line called Vampire Attire.
Okay.
And I was 19 years old, and they were sending me to Hong Kong, Taiwan, Shenzhen.
That's awesome.
Yeah, when I was like 19, 20 years old, we were spending months out there. Like literally slept in the factory for like 2 weeks, just so we could learn the process. Then went to like all the fabric mills in Taiwan, like.
That's experiences though, man.
And we sat down with the directors and picked out fabrics and spent a week out there. So it was experiences like that at an early age that kind of set me up to be more successful as I grew up.
Yeah, definitely.
But being that I started that, I get like dope clientele on the side. Like I designed help design the G-Shock watch I'm wearing now, and the packaging for Eminem. It sold out like in 5 minutes or something like that. Like,
that's crazy.
I did Jordan
awesome,
Sparks'
man.
album cover and her single covers back in 2016, which her last release.
Okay.
I just worked on a collaboration with Defend Brooklyn and 40 Acres and a Mule, Spike Lee.
I know Defend Brooklyn.
Yeah,
well,
I did that. They also
actually
commissioned me.
the designer, one of the designers.
Alex?
Yeah.
Yeah,
my brother, well, I don't know him. My brother's cool with him.
Yeah, he was actually a director in New Life.
Oh, okay.
He got me my first freelance job when I was about 19 years old.
Oh,
like,
okay.
I designed some logos. It was like $700 cash. So that's what I was like, whoa, hold up. There's something with this. Like, there's something with this. So that's what kind of kept me in design.
Okay.
Because I was just an artist prior to that. I just wanted to paint, draw. But then when I saw that, I was like, wait, hold up. I could do this and pay the bills and stuff.
And you evolved with it too. You evolved with
Absolutely.
the platform, obviously, because you didn't stick to the, pencil, paint, and brush.
No,
you obviously went into the digital platform, which I think a lot of artists kind of, they struggle with it a little. You know what I mean? And they kind of lose themselves in there without, kind of turn it into the business and sole proprietorship like you did.
Yeah.
It's just kind of dope.
I wonder, so technically, since you work a 9 to 5, right, and you're able to do all of these things, like how do you find time to balance everything?
It's the 4 hours.
I always like to ask this to entrepreneurs,
I get that
especially,
question a lot. The trick behind it is not to try to eat the whole pie at once. You eat it slice by
Spread it
slice.
out, yeah.
So what I do is I just, set down my goals for the day, go into the office. All right, this is what I need to do today.
Yeah.
Boom, get that done. As soon as I know what's going on afterwards, I start getting emails, text messages. I start writing down my goals for the evening. Okay, I need to get this job out done. I have artists stepping on my plate right now. Let me get them out the door. BX Sports, I got to get their branding out the door.
Okay.
BX Sports also, big shout out to BX Sports. They've donated over 500 pairs of sneakers that we've gotten out to the people, to shelters. We also linked up with Healing Souls
we gotta
as well.
We gotta link up, man, because I gotta get some resources out to that school, bro. Like,
and
that'd
here's
be
the
awesome.
thing. I used my freelance business as a tool to get donations because I use all my resources. And it's not about your resources, it's about how resourceful you are with them. So that's what I've been able to do, even with the festival.
And kindness. Even
exactly.
Just being kind to people that you work with on a regular basis.
And I give crazy deals. I'm not out here.
Yeah, to be rich off of one piece.
Yeah, exactly. So I give people cool deals because I know they're going to come back. And I'm at the point now where I only work with people who I know do dope stuff that I would want to enjoy.
Want to be a part of.
Yeah. I'm like, cool, this is cool. I'll do this. Like,
yeah, hell yeah.
Because right about now, I'm not really paper chasing anything of that nature.
Awesome.
I just want to do dope shit. Like, that's it.
Nice.
That's the point where I want to get to. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? Like, you're not
like-
paper chasing, even though everything you want to do it for capital gain, of course, because
Absolutely.
you need money to survive. But once you're no longer chasing, it doesn't feel like a chase, and it's calming. It's calming.
And it's all about, like we spoke about earlier, sharing what you learn. So
Oh, yeah.
that's also why Josh came down and did the growth and goals session that I do.
Yep.
Where it's an 11-week course, free to the community. And each week is a different way to start your business or a different aspect of your business. We have business building, business plan building, and then we have legal. We had Jamil come in.
And it's all on YouTube as well.
It's on YouTube. We had Jamil come in and George. They're both attorneys from the Lower East Side.
Okay.
We had Carlos come in. He does branding he did Jay-Z, Rockaware, like Dame Dash. He owns a shop over on Grand Street, Option A. Dope guy, super community guy. He came in and did branding. Like,
That's awesome,
I
man.
had John from Truthful Taxes. He's from Smith Houses. He has a tax company now. with Paulie Malignaggi.
Nice.
I believe he's one of the owners.
Oh, get out.
So
Nice.
I utilized the community. You know, Josh is from the community. He came and taught real estate, like so stuff like that. Where I get people from the community. Danny from Crank Fitness came down. He's from Grand Street. He taught.
That's my daughter's uncle. So
So
I know. Yeah.
he spoke about opening his business. You know, he spoke about how times he was homeless. You know what I'm saying? And he
Yeah,
went
I know his story. You know, up
exactly.
front.
And he
His
came and
story's
shared it
real.
like, yo,
You know, his story's
these are
real.
people who we could all relate to.
Yeah.
Like I didn't bring nobody in there who came from a privileged place because I want everybody to come in with the challenge so
Gotta
people
earn
can
it.
relate to the challenge. Like, yo, we all went through, like me personally, like both my parents passed by the time I was 12. You know, so I
Jeez.
grew up like, how can I figure this out now? What do I have to do now? You know what I'm saying? Like, so these are things that we all have gone through and use them as stepping stones. You know, it's about using your failures to learn from and become successful off those failures because it's never really a failure. It's always a lesson.
Yeah.
Right.
So that's what it's really about, especially about being an entrepreneur. You're going to capitalize off your failures. Failing is probably
that's where you
one of the
learn most.
Yes. It's
That's where
like
you
the
learn most.
blessing of success.
Yep.
Once you fail, you're going to be like, all right, I did this wrong. I know I can't do that again because I learned from it. And if you do it again, then you need to really sit back and evaluate yourself.
Yourself,
Like, I just
right.
did the same thing. What am I doing? Like,
It's true, and then if you're successful too fast, you then become vulnerable to that success because you're not changing, and you're not evolving with whatever's going on. So it's true. You know what
I was
I'm
gonna
saying?
say, so take it back a little bit, right? Because we've talked about kind of like present, and we really haven't talked about the future. But take it back a little bit. You started at 19, becoming an entrepreneur. But what got you to that point? Like at that age? Because 19,
how did you
that's
make
a
that
young
decision?
age.
That
You
is
know?
kind of a young age to make that decision.
this is how the universe works, yo.
Yeah. Like talk about like your background and your story a little bit. You know.
So grew up here in the Lower East Side. Like I said, my father died when I was 7, 1988. He was director of affirmative action for the state controller's office in Albany. So he was really into political. He opened some community centers in Buffalo.
Okay.
And that's kind of where I get my community sense from. My mom was a writer, a proofreader, and stuff like that. So she also worked at St. Vincent's Hospital. So I seen her like put me on the back of a bike, you know, because we used to live in Sewell Park houses right over here, across the street from Sewell Park. Out of the block, actually. 64 SX.
Before all this was Essex Street Crossings.
So we was right there, and she used to throw me in the back of the bike, drop me off at school, go to work, go to BMCC, come pick me up in after-school program. So I grew up in after-school programs. That's why I've been a teaching artist for 12
Same
years.
here.
Yeah.
Because I know the importance of after-school programming, and that's why the festival even emerged, because I know the importance of the community and the programming in it. So I watched my mom hustle, and then losing her at an early age, and I also lost a sister at 15.
Oh, wow.
So
Yeah,
it
you
was
went
like
through a
back
lot of
to back. Yeah, I went
Yeah,
through
like
a lot.
back to
A
back.
lot of people
That's
would have folded,
insane.
but I was like, hold up.
How did you make sense of all of it?
Right.
Like that's.
I didn't.
Is that how you did the creative side of things?
I didn't make sense of it at all. It was just one of those moments where it's like, this happened. You know, you question everything. You're
Yeah.
like, damn, what is going
Natural.
on? But then it's like, all right, you start diving your attention into something to basically consume the time, consume your
Okay.
thoughts. So I used to play a lot of sports, a lot of basketball, a lot of football, a lot of baseball. And then naturally, I've always been an artist. I won Best Artist Award in PS 142, Best Artist Award in Junior High School 56, and I went to High School of Art and Design. So
Okay,
I've always
nice.
been into art. And then one day, when I was in college, I was in St. Francis College, phys ed, to be a gym teacher.
Okay.
My 3rd year. And I was working at a copy center, and I used to do T-shirts on a heat press machine. And I just did something for this company called Vampire Entertainment. He was working with like Black Rob, Shorty Black from up the block, Kevo. Big shout out to Kevo. And I ran into my boy Dro, who's now A&R Def Jam.
Okay.
But used to also work with Shady Records. So full circle, we ran into each other in Rutgers. Yo, Marty, you still doing art? Yes, I am. Yo, I want to start this clothing line. Let's talk. Talked. We started a clothing line. Wasn't really moving, but Vampire Ties saw our efforts, and they're like, hey, we're starting a clothing line. Do you want to come with us? Like, okay, cool. Never designed clothes in my life. I just did T-shirts. But I'm one of those, I have a growth mindset. You know, that's why I call it the growth and goals mindset. 'Cause
Yeah.
not only do I have the growth mindset, but I have a goal oriented as
So
well.
you're there, and then you want to see what's the next level and what's the next step.
Exactly.
That's awesome,
so
man.
I wound up doing that, going to Hong Kong, China, Taiwan, Shenzhen,
Look at
Vegas at 19. And then I just never lost contact with Dro because he's one of my best friends. And as time went on, I just kept going. I just didn't stop.
Just
so,
picking up.
And here's the crazy thing. The clothing line folded. and I started working at an off-Broadway theater.
Okay.
In the morning, I used to clean the building, clean the toilets. At night, I used to do security. So, cleaning the toilets, I remember just mopping by one of the rooms where they used to do cold readings. Cold readings where they read scripts, prior to like actually acting them out.
Okay.
So you read the script, you go over it, everybody plays their character. And I would mop because I was just intrigued by it.
Okay.
Then I got a civil service job, stock worker, took a stock worker exam because that's what society tells you. Don't listen to society, yo. They tell you, go get a city job.
Yeah,
take a civil service exam.
Or get a trade.
Listen,
You went through
man,
it,
I
you know
went
what I'm
through
saying?
it, so trust me, I know. Like,
So then-
I get it how you can just jump into entrepreneur from
Exactly.
just desperation. Like, yo, I'm out of this. Like,
So that's what they did. So, family and friends, everybody was like, get a city job because my family's into city jobs and stuff like that. I took city exam, stock worker, wound up working because I worked for NYCHA a total of 9 years. First 3 years, I was working in the mailroom.
Yeah.
Like people kicking boxes at me, all that crazy mailroom. You ever watch the movies or the shows where they walk around with the cart and they hand out mail?
Yeah,
That was
yeah.
me. So the cool thing is I have just a personality, a social personality. So I met all the executives.
Okay.
Because I was doing the executive floor. You know what I'm saying?
So through your 9 to 5s, you pretty much built your network. Is what it sounds like.
100,000%. So while doing that, I was in a resident art show for my design work.
Okay.
So I was still doing design. I was still in art shows. I was doing poetry shows. I was on tour. So University of Albany, University of Buffalo, Florida State, doing poetry. You know what I'm saying? So I would do all of that. Plus, go to work and whatever, go back to the mailroom like it was nothing. You know what I'm saying? So go to art show on the weekends, sell pieces, do freelance work. And at that time, I was doing like stuff with DJs, like DJ Marvelous, who was the Winans DJ at the time. Like, so I was still getting like these little industry jobs in the beginning, like through networks. And then from there, I just didn't stop. So they saw the executives went to the resident art show, right? Because I was a NYCHA resident, grew up in Smith houses, everywhere. So they saw me back there. They put my piece. I don't know if you've ever been to Rutgers, but they have a hallway all the way in the back, past the bathrooms, all the way by the back classes. And they put my piece back there, and they were like, we had to put it back here because it was overpowering.
Okay.
Like, this is like a professional piece. You did this? And I was like, yeah, that's me.
Yeah.
Because they still looking at me as Marty from the mailroom.
Yeah.
So I'm back there, and I'm just like, man, a little down. 'Cause I'm like, why my piece is all the way back here? Like, the executives roll up, and they all like, oh, you work here now? And I'm like, no, I'm still in the mailroom. This is my piece. They all looked at it, looked at me, walked away. One lady came back, was like, yo, we need you to come to the executive office tomorrow. I was like, oh, okay. Went up there. They were like, do you have a resume, portfolio? And me, the opportunist that I am, I had that. Because I wasn't playing. I knew they were
You
going to call
literally
me
had
for
it with
something.
you. That's funny.
I knew it was something up. So I
Okay.
put it together that night, and I brought it just in case.
Sure, I got a resume.
I'd rather have it and not need it than need it and not have it. You know what I'm saying? So I was like, yeah, I do. They're like, all right. So right there, they already saw something was up. They're like, this guy's on his game. So they saw my work, and they're like, in 2 weeks, you're going to go work in community operations.
Nice,
Go to community
man.
operations, started doing all the branding. Like,
Is
That
that
was-
So
not
that's where you learned
amazing?
all the
I think
branding and everything. And
I learned
that's
it.
amazing, man.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
like-
learned community branding through that.
Through that.
So I learned
but just
how to-
branding in general. Because
Exactly.
even community branding is still branding. You
So
know
it
what I
was
mean?
like branding, a lot of marketing into low-income
yep.
communities. Like, so I learned how to do that through there.
That's dope.
And then, being that it was community operations special events, I sat in all the special events for 6 years. So all the meetings, everything, I was in everything. So I learned how to do special events. I learned how to sit down with a team. I learned how to delegate work. I learned how to figure out, as a designer,
Yeah.
you're a natural problem solver. Period. Like, as a designer,
Right,
you
'cause
turn into a
anything that
problem
can
solver.
happen will happen.
Yeah. So I did that for 6 years, then moved on, and then as I was doing that, I was still doing art shows. I was still doing it.
That's ill.
But here's the crazy thing. So like I said, remember I was mopping, cleaning toilets, mopping. When I was in the mailroom, I was putting the flyers in the cubbies because each development has a cubby. So man, it's like hundreds of cubbies that I'm putting flyers into. I see a flyer for the Lee Strasberg Theater Institute. Lee Strasberg is the guy who taught Al Pacino, Robert De Niro,
Oh, wow.
Alec Baldwin, what I'm saying,
Jeez.
John Leguizamo.
Okay.
So he teaches method acting. It's method acting, then it's Stanislavski, the what if. So it's like two major things that people do. It's like what if or method acting. Method actors are like, they get really into it. Like you ever hear about Heath Ledger doing a Joker? How they say
how he lost himself into it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's method acting. Like you really lose yourself into the character. You become
Wow.
that person,
Okay.
like naturally. So I saw auditions, for residents. You could win a scholarship if you audition for this. I said, all right, cool. I went into the audition. You had to bring a monologue. I didn't bring one. I wrote my own monologue about losing a girl, but it wasn't about losing a girl. It was about my Nintendo not working. So, I'm going through the phases like, oh no, please don't leave me. What? You'll stay? And I pull out Nintendo and they're like, oh. So
It was like a
yeah, there was a 4-part.
I never understood that.
All right.
Yeah, so there was a 4-part audition process. I went from the first one to the last one. They were like, hold up, like there's something going on here. So they skipped me to the last one. There was 4 other people there, so it's 4 of us, 3 others and me. And I was the only one who got a full-time scholarship for acting, but being that I wrote my own monologue, they gave me a writing one too. So they're like, yo, you beat out 250 people, all because I was mopping toilets.
This guy was he was jack of all trades with acting and everything.
Yo,
that's what's up, man.
Because being that I lost at an early age, my life experience.
You just had to put it somewhere.
I need to learn something. I need to experience something. Like, why not? Like,
you didn't allow yourself to get into that depression mode
Exactly.
of where you just go into deep thought. No, that's awesome.
And it also gave me the understanding that we only get one life.
Seriously,
we only get a limited time.
If that's anything that this audience can take out of this, man, is 1, you gotta build off a life of experiences,
Absolutely.
man, and 2, you could build your network through 9 to 5s, man.
100%.
Yeah, that's great.
Like,
bro.
I still work with NYCHA.
Yeah.
I hope they help me get the sneakers out to VXS. Andre Cirillo, thank you very much. He's at NYCHA. He's been a good friend when I was going through a lot of things there. Like, and one thing I will say about NYCHA is the benefits are great. You know what I'm saying? But there was a point in time where the reason why I left is because I was making about $45,000 for 6 years, no raises.
Wow.
And when I asked for a raise, they said I didn't qualify as a designer after doing the job for 6 years. Blast. Usually I don't put people on blast, but that's blast. But because I want people to understand that as you go along in your career, people are going to tell you things. Certain people in power, certain people in different positions are going to tell you specific things that could be detrimental to your success and to your road. Don't listen to it, yo.
Yep.
Do not listen to it. Because if I would have been there and I would have been like, all right, they're right. I don't qualify as a designer.
Yeah,
just
you would have
walk
never
away
moved
with your
forward.
tail between your legs and
Exactly.
walk away.
I would have not been able
definitely.
to do all the things I've been able to do if I would have listened to that. All my life, I've just been ice skating uphill. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I like that.
I really do, man. Listen, so before we go, I guess unless you have any other questions before we go,
I'm
kind
the
of
story
leave
is
our
amazing,
audience.
and I think that everybody should definitely listen to this episode
Absolutely.
podcast because you had
Personal
loss
losses.
and
Yes.
you basically turned it into something amazing.
have
So
Listen, but before you go,
more power to you.
leave the audience with, obviously your social media handles and
You gave
any
a lot of
events that you
jewels,
have
so I
coming
don't know
up.
if you have any more in your
we
pocket.
have, I'm working with Celebrate You, Building Young Professionals on an anti-bullying campaign.
Okay.
We have an event coming up in New York November 4th from 2 to 6. You could come by, stop by. It's an anti-bullying event, poetry, live music, live bands, and it's going to be a beautiful thing. You can find me at Why Not Care More, Instagram, Facebook. That's my nonprofit. And you can also find us at www.whynotcaremore.org. And if you just want to follow me personally, my art career, I don't really post anything personal. It's more art and entrepreneur stuff. So it's Marty Moore 54. Or you can follow Growth and Goals. That's the entrepreneurship course that we run.
Yeah.
We've done it with Grand Street, at Cornerstone, and with
sure.
Henry Street. So it's a beautiful thing. The community really sees a need for it, and it's going strong. And you can find me. I'm here. You could Google me, Marty Medina. I'm all around.
Nice.
From murals to like New York Times. We're here, man. Like, just never give up. Ever.
Seriously appreciate that, man.
Thank you for having me.
And as usual,
Thank you.
And listen, man, shout out to Grand Low Cafe for allowing us to
Grand
use
Low.
their space.
Yes, we
You guys gotta
appreciate
come and
you.
Amazing
visit, man.
space.
This place is amazing and have some really, really good food
Yes,
too.
Very
Grand
good
Street,
tea,
thank you
by
for this
the way.
initiative as well. Thank you. It's
Definitely.
beautiful in the
All right,
community.
love you guys, man. Take care. And as always, share us.
Stay
Share us.
good.
Take care.
Support.
It's easier to think you famous, it's harder to work for greatness. These kids nowadays give prevalence to the latest. So if the party started 8ish, I'm coming like next to